This is the BYD Seal U DM-i, a Chinese plug-in hybrid SUV. It's cheaper than the non-Chinese brands we all know and better finished than most of them, regardless of the price. But there must be a catch, right? What is it? Let's find out. I compared the BYD Seal U DM-i against the Lexus RX 450h Plus. Long names. Anyway, channel members can watch this comparison early and without ads. BYD is one of those brands whose products you've probably used but didn't know about it. For example, as part of my in-house sustainability efforts, I upcycled my 10-year-old GoPro to a colleague. He asked for battery model because he wanted to see if replacements were available just in case if he needed one. Guess who was the OEM battery supplier for GoPro Hero 4? A BYD battery probably also powered one of your smartphones or tablets. But the company's founder, Wang Chuanfu, had much bigger ambitions, and that's how BYD Auto was born, among other brands, which today is the best-selling car brand in China and successfully competes globally with Tesla. In Europe, BYD offers mainly electric models. The Seal U model can be chosen with an electric or a plug-in hybrid drivetrain. This type of drivetrain is also called DMI at BYD. DM stands for dual mode. And yes, there's also a Seal without U, which is an electric sedan, and the Seal 5 DMI, which is a plug-in hybrid sedan. BYD is just one of BYD Auto's brands. Together with Denza, it has the dullest, most generic design. It's like asking AI to draw a crossover. Models from Fangchengbao and Yangwang are much more interesting, but we'll have to settle for this black blotch which designers tried to salvage with dots around the headlights and on the stripe running across the boot lid. Other than that, the BYD Seal U looks like whatever. The 425-liter boot is an example of Chinese thinking about cars. It's different from what we're used to here in Europe. For example, a car is a tool for a family with children, so we need more space in the front for the adults, less space in the back for the kids, but we want a large boot to accommodate all our stuff when we take the car for a holiday. In China, rear seat space is important, as being transported in the back seat is a sign of prestige. This results in several things, including less space in the front and in the boot. The boot of this size would be manageable if at least it had a regular shape. However, here it gets tight between the wheel arches. The underfloor storage compartment is just a styrofoam insert. It's secured with clips to prevent removal, so I immediately removed it and discovered some hybrid powertrain-related components, as well as additional layer of soundproofing. BYD has done a decent job of soundproofing the Seal, in some places at least. More on that in a moment. You can lower the floor a few centimeters and even store the cargo cover underneath it. I don't think it was intentional, but as long as it works, I'm happy to report on it. There is no opening or closing of the tailgate with gesture, however there are buttons to close the tailgate and a separate one to close it and lock the car. There is plenty of legroom in the rear, but the headroom isn't quite as generous. You can recline the backrests, but that comes at the expense of boot space. Besides, not everyone likes to travel reclined this much. The floor in the middle is flat. There are door pockets, air conditioning vents, USB-C ports. There are cup holders in the armrest, but there is no ski hatch. ISOFIX anchor points are on the side seats in the rear and on the front passenger seat as well. Doors cover the sills and even go lower, which is why they collect road debris. But they shut very elegantly, like in a German limousine back in the day, when Germans still made good cars. The Seal's cockpit is impressive. If someone just visited, say, a VW showroom where they checked out a Tiguan and now they got into the BYD, the salesperson's main task will be not to ruin the first impression. I know salespeople can ruin just about anything, but if they try hard enough, they might just push the customer out the door in a Seal U DM-i before they discover any major flaws. Now, the build quality is impeccable. There is plastic leather everywhere, worthy of an Audi or BMW these days, soft materials, a bit of fake aluminum, a bit of piano black. It makes the Tiguan look like a Dacia. And then you press a button on the steering wheel and the screen rotates 90 degrees. I don't know why, but it does that. Maybe there is a Chinese app somewhere that better works in portrait rather than landscape mode. Unfortunately, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay don't work in vertical mode, so the display will probably remain horizontal. And this is also because navigation on the test car doesn't seem to work. Now, it's a new car, probably someone forgot to activate it. What did I say about ruining first impressions? The driver's display is like I remember it from BYD Dolphin I reviewed several months ago. Data selected doesn't necessarily stay on the screen. This isn't a deal breaker, but a minor inconvenience that I'm noticing. The physical buttons on the steering wheel are a plus. They're easy to use for cruise control, camera view and multimedia. Under the central display is a wireless charger capable of charging two phones at the same time. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have any cooling, but if necessary, you can direct airflow from the vents to your phone to prevent cold air from blowing into your hand. That's if the air is actually cold at any given moment. With what seems to be constant temperature outside, the BYD can't make up its mind whether it's time to heat or cool the interior, so I end up consistently readjusting the temperature settings. The infotainment system isn't bad, which doesn't mean it couldn't be better. Some shortcuts are in the unlabeled pull-down menu, which you can customize. I suggest adding something called SLW to this menu. That's ESA, or the not-so-intelligent speed assist, which you want to disable every time you start the car. If not through this shortcut, it's a lot of clicking through the menu. Next, we have the drive selector, and around it, a random array of switches. From the right, clockwise, there's the automatic air conditioning mode, the fan switch, the windshield defroster, a volume roller, which I only found looking at the interior shots after I filmed them, the drive mode selector, the park button, the electric hybrid drive mode, the start button, the automatic parking brake, and the blind spot monitoring off switch, and finally, the hazard lights. Some of these buttons are hidden under smooth plastic and are difficult to find in an emergency. For example, the hazard lights. This panel and the cup holders are too far back in relation to the seat. The driver would have to be much taller and further back, but the seat doesn't go back much further because the priority is space for the rear passengers. There are also door pockets, a cubby under the console with two USB-C ports, and a 12-volt outlet, a deep storage compartment under the armrest, and a small glove box. There is no lumbar support adjustment and the seat settings are saved via the screen. The seats are too soft in my opinion and I sink into them, but that's probably because this car is designed with comfort in mind. More on that in a moment. Let's hit the road. The BYD Seal U DM-i is comfortable. It's not just the plush seats, but also the soft suspension and the steering, which is so unresponsive that the first impulse is to call an ambulance. You can turn the steering wheel a few degrees left or right and the car will still go straight. Now, you can put the steering in sport mode and then it's less unresponsive. The suspension may be soft, but it's unsettled by larger bumps, as if there were some loose parts in it. And this is a brand new car. High-speed cornering gives me the chills rather than the thrills. I feel like if it weren't for ESP, if things went sideways, I would not be able to regain control of the Seal. This car was clearly designed for sitting in Beijing rush hour traffic, not for speeding on winding roads. The underbody sound insulation is excellent, however, at higher speeds on expressways, wind noise from the upper part of the vehicle becomes noticeable. The driver's assistance systems work well enough. Okay, the adaptive cruise control starts slowing down a bit too early and a bit too abruptly, but that can be said about some of BYD's non-Chinese competitors.
Visibility is poor. The Chinese have yet to learn how to mount the wing mirrors a bit further from the body so they do not make the A-pillar blind spot bigger. When approaching a pedestrian crossing or junctions, you really have to move your head around because there could be people or even vehicles hiding there. Rear visibility is also bad. The rear window is small, high and at an angle. As a result, you can be oblivious to a car following you, and not just an MX-5 which can drive under your average crossover these days, but even a regular hatchback.
And what about the plug-in hybrid business? Well, it's made up of a 1.5-liter petrol engine and an electric motor. Depending on the version, the total output is 215 or 320 horsepower. BYD offers the Seal U DM-i in 3 variants. There's the entry-level Boost, the mid-range Comfort, and the top-of-the-line Design. Boost and Comfort are front-wheel drive, while the Design is all-wheel drive. Boost and Design have smaller 18.3 kWh batteries, while the Comfort has 26.6 kWh battery, which gives it the longest zero emissions range of 125 kilometers. Boost and Design have a range of 80 and 70 kilometers, respectively.
This is the 320 horsepower Design variant. Claimed 0 to 100 km/h time is 5.9 seconds, which is almost what I got in sport mode. The road was slightly damp, so perhaps it would be possible to shave the missing fraction of a second under ideal conditions. While testing acceleration, I also found out the brakes aren't up to scratch, but as I mentioned earlier, BYD Seal U DM-i was probably designed to crawl in traffic. Like in most PHEVs, impressive acceleration numbers are a byproduct of combined power of the two powertrains.
The 70 kilometers electric range is achievable, especially in city driving. Now, it may seem like an average result for a PHEV of this size. However, the front-wheel drive Comfort variant has a claimed electric range similar to that offered by VW in the current generation Tiguan e-hybrid. Pressing the accelerator pedal harder or depleting the traction battery means the car goes into regular hybrid mode. In this case, the Seal U DM-i consumes approximately 6-7 liters of petrol per 100 kilometers. The LFP traction battery can be charged with AC power at up to 11 kilowatts, but since there is an electric-only version of this car, the manufacturer also included a CCS port, which can be used to charge the battery using DC power from 30 to 80% in 35 minutes at 18 kilowatts. Similar to PHEVs offered, for example, by Mitsubishi, the internal combustion engine also serves as an energy generator and does not directly drive the wheels. Theoretically, this means greater efficiency, but from the driver's perspective, the engine sometimes whines more, sometimes less, and it doesn't correspond with speed or acceleration.
And last but not least, my diagonal approach test. I stop halfway up the incline with the wheels on the diagonal with limited traction, and then I try to get going again. It's dry, but the soil under the rear right wheel is loose. In normal mode, the BYD Seal handled it without a problem. With ESP off, getting halfway up proved problematic, but once the car settled, it went smoothly from there. The same in sport mode. In snow mode, there is a momentary stronger wheel spin, but the system quickly detects wheels with limited traction. The same in sand mode. And finally, mud mode. Here, too, the initial climb is problematic with the most wheel spin, probably to clear tires of the mud. But in the end, the car manages to get up. Prices of the BYD Seal U DM-i start at €39,990 for the Boost variant. The only difference between the three variants is the traction battery, or whether the car is only front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. The only option is paint, which costs €1,100. Grey is standard. This test car is the design trim, and with black paint it costs a total of €47,090. This is more or less what the cheapest PHEV Tiguan costs, and you'd have to add 10 grand worth of options to match Seal's level of kit.
BYD Seal U DM-i is yet another Chinese vehicle which makes a very good first impression and will probably satisfy 80% of the prospective buyers. But the devil is in the details. Assuming I have zero expectations as far as handling is concerned, I'd risk leasing one for a couple of years with zero down payment and low installments. And how about you? Do you care about handling? Let me know in the comment section below.
If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.